hello, good people. Welcome back to another Blessage with Lady Night, also known as Minister. Hey, 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 ow, 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 ow. Ow. All right, so we're gonna get back into this message. All right, this is the second time I tried to record or go live, and there was a interference. So yeah, we are here. Okay, so look, I'm not surprised by those things. I'm not surprised at all because when you're a truth speaker and you're being led by God, the devil gets mad. That's it. That's all. Okay. I don't care how you try to justify it and blame it on this or that. I know that when God has called some folk, they will face turbulence, challenges, difficulties, and that is it. And even honestly, those who aren't called will face challenges. That's just the human experience. However, as we were talking about, it's all in how you handle those situations that really matter. So that was Elijah's purpose in Elisha's life to train him on how to handle those difficult situations. So for me, God has made a believer that when he speaks, he's going to keep his promises. So a lot of things transpired in the physical that if you go back and watch some of the blessed messages, you will see that they were already prophesied. They were already spoken about before they manifested. And that's how God operates. So someone has big shoes to fill, okay? God has been telling me concerning the fact that the mantle is going to be handed over to someone. And right now they're being trained, they're being processed by God. That's the thing. It's one thing to receive worldly training. You know, we go to school, we go to what do you call it? Different certification programs, all these things, and we're trained. And yeah, it's a whole different ballgame when God trains you Himself. So it can be really intense, but it's also preparation for the spiritual warfare that you'll have to go through. Somebody has to know that it's not easy. It ain't easy. Somebody, you will be attacked, and if no one knows, Elijah knew. Okay, go read his story. Go read his testimony. I kind of alluded to it in a previous message. I didn't allude, but I read a portion of that scripture, and we were in First Kings, First Kings 19. And when my Bible decides to load, because today I'm using my digital Bible, so we're going to put a pin mark there. I'm going to read verse 17, but I wanted to do a recap. So verse 10, and he said, I've been very zealous for the Lord God of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken their covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. So they were murdering the prophets. Remember, this was Jezebel. It was under her direction and order. And even I only am left. Seek my life to take it away. So he was the only prophet left. Okay, from his vantage point, God had other things in store. He said, I know what I can do with this. See, God is not a panic. He doesn't get flustered under pressure. You hear what I'm saying? He's not going to just make decisions because you're in a hurry. Remember, we talked about the pleasure principle, the immediate need for gratification, all those things. Go watch the blessed messages. God doesn't operate that way. Just because you're a little uncomfortable, doesn't mean He's going to make those moves at that precise time. Yeah. God gave me a personal message. He said, get uncomfortable with me. That's what He told me to tell people. What does that mean, Lady Nine? That means that typically people expect you to operate a certain way, say a certain thing, be a certain way, especially when they have ascribed labels to you. They told you this is how you're supposed to behave, this is what you're supposed to do. But then God tells you what you actually to be doing, and you pursue that, then it looks strange to people. So they're supposed to be uncomfortable. That's what God been telling me. And that actually relates to the fact that God told me, don't worry, they're trying to get to where you are. Don't worry. When you're number one at something, you're doing something different, you're setting the standards. That's the thing. That's what you have to know. And what did Elijah just say? I'm the only one left. It's just me, God. And they still seeking my life. But God has something in store for people like that. Okay. Oh, yeah. He told me. He said they're going to reap what they sow because a lot of people have pursued the Lord's prophets in this season in 2026. Yes, they have. 2025 they did it. 2024 they did it. 2023 they did it. They're going to reap what they sow. Because again, they want to take away the life of the prophet because they like what the prophet is saying, even though it's on the behalf of God. Because that's what a prophet is, God's mouthpiece. But they don't want to hear that. So there were certain people who were told to stop in their tracks, stop what they were doing because they were doing bad things, horrible things, horrific things, and they wouldn't stop. They didn't listen. LadyNiMinisterA tried to warn you. Stop doing that. Touch not God's anointed one. Do his prophets no harm. They didn't listen. Leave that lady alone. They didn't listen. So in this season, God told me they're gonna reap what they sow. Just like there will be benefit for those who have been obedient. That's it. So we know that even though Elijah was the only one, God gave him instructions on training his protege on how to handle certain matters. Because things gonna happen to us. We know that we're gonna have experiences that are unpleasant, and yet we have to know how to navigate those in a godly fashion. And again, it's not gonna be what people want you to do. It's gonna be what God wants you to do. So it will look strange. They're gonna be uncomfortable with you. Somebody, this is your testimony. So 1 Kings 19:17. What did Elijah train Elisha to do? So again, we talked about the fact that they had similar experiences, Elijah and Elisha, right? Yeah, they did. But it wasn't about the experiences in themselves. It was how they handled those experiences, those uncomfortable situations. How did they handle it? So if you go read your whole Bible, you know I'm not going to read it for you here on this particular message because we have a lot to cover. But they were supposed to help and support someone else who was facing a challenge. And they did it gracefully. They were generous with their time and instructions. They were deliberate. They didn't panic. Again, God don't panic. He don't just get flustered because people are mad. No, he moves strategically. And they did so. So that was how Elijah was able to influence Elisha. That's what a master does with their servant. Other words, a teacher and a student. They teach them to overcome challenges, not to just stay stuck to weep and complain. No, how to transverse, come. That's it, because we're victorious in the Lord. So let's read verse 17 of 1 Kings 19. And it shall come to pass that him that escaped the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay, and him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. What does that mean? Hey, he's saying they're going to destroy them. They're going to destroy those people. Their commandment is to destroy them, to share them. We talked about this. Share their illusion. Same thing Jesus came to do. Because often people expect Christians to operate a certain way, but we're spiritual assassins. I know I am. That's what God wants to be. So no, we may not have a physical sword, but our knowledge is the weapon. Our words are the weapon. How we conduct ourselves. We shatter the illusion of comfort for those who operate in sin. That's it. So Elisha was trained very well to take over the mantle that was handed to him by the prophet Elijah. That's it. So again, I use that movie, The Animator. I just catching people up who haven't watched the previous video yet. But it's Graduation, If the Shoe Fits, Part 1. This is Part 2. We're going to continue. So the prophetic messages have come to fruition according to God's will and way. Some have been good for some people. Very good. You know what we saw? So this is the season. It's around we're sharing our achievements, our accomplishments. But this is for the people of God. Okay? This is for the people of God. And I have to make that disclaimer. Not everyone is operating with a godly spirit. We know that. because for some of us, for a long time, a long season, a long period, we were supposed to sit back, quiet, be observant, and witness how wicked these people could be. They done slandered your name, called you all types of things. Tried to ruin your reputation. They tried to kill you. And God said, guess what? You survived, and this is the season to share all your accomplishments, all those things they tried to discredit about you. They tried to say, you ain't do that. He lied. They called you a liar. God said, got the evidence. It's written. Yeah, that's for the godly people. Okay, so again, we're going to reap what we sowed. And some things are going to be good for some folk. But for some other people, it ain't going to be too pleasant. It's not going to be too good. It's going to lead to devastation, embarrassment, humiliation. In either case, it is warranted. That's what God told me. God sent warning after warning to those who continue to pursue God's chosen folk. And it's only the beginning. So again, those people who were actually trying to attack Elijah, guess what he told? Train your people to handle that business. That's what he said. So with that said, as believers, we don't gloat. That's important also. We're going to be misunderstood. Just know that this is a warning. However, we're not gloating. We're not trying to make people feel bad or tear people down. We're just highlighting the fact that we have accomplished a lot of things. That we are faithful and obedient to God. Because the thing is, all honor belongs to God. Remember the previous message, we were talking about the fact that God came and confused the languages because people were getting big-headed. Remember that was the tragedy that did Eve and Adam in. They got big-headed. They want to be more like God. They wanted to ignore his instructions, what they wanted to do. And that's found in Genesis 11. But God shut that down. He confused the language. So you have to be godly. You have to seek the Holy Spirit. That's the purpose. Because that's the only way to hear from God. That's the only way to receive the messages is to listen for the Father's voice. That's important. So again, we're not gloating, but we are celebrating God's favor over our lives because all honor and glory and praise belongs to God. We know that we don't achieve anything without God. It all happened because God did it on our behalf. And that's the benefit of walking with the Lord. Somebody know that as well. Somebody has to know that. Because they're like, what's the benefits of this life? Some people have been misfed information and they think, oh, being a Christian is boring. It's so restrictive, all these things. But there are so many benefits to walking with God. God told me personally that things are going to come easy for me this season. Things that are going to take people 10, 20, 30 years to achieve, he's just going to give it to me. He's going to hand it over. That's what God promised me. Again, your promise, your message may be different, but you have to listen for the Father's voice. So God told me they wanted you out of the picture. They preyed on you, hoping for your downfall. So again, this whole attack was meant to end in your demise. You were not supposed to be existing, not supposed to be succeeding or thriving in this season. But yet you are here against the favor of the Lord. They will not get that satisfaction to see you go down. They're not going to get it. They never get that satisfaction. You overcame every challenge, and now you can celebrate. We were quiet for a very long time. They should have let us be quiet in peace, but they didn't. That's what God told me. They should have just let you be quiet, lady. Now, I told you when I was younger, a little girl, I was quiet. I mind my business. I stayed to myself. But there always seems somebody who wanted to interrupt that peace and bother. That's what you call a bully. So they kept attacking to no avail. So God had to force them to shut up. And now we get to celebrate. Post your achievements, show off your accomplishments. God is granting permission. Yes, you have God's permission. That's what God told me. You were behind the scenes working hard while they mocked you. This is the season of jubilee. Freedom. Remember, someone wanted to be you. They tried to steal your shoes. And those are some big shoes to fill. Oh, we about to get into the message. God gave me a piece of written poem that I'll share here. And honestly, God is encouraging me to write. This is like great because I wrote a poem the other day that he just gave me the words and wrote it down. It just came together. So they didn't realize the amount of pressure you faced. That's the thing. When you desire someone's life, you don't see all the nuances associated with being that individual. Because you're looking at it from the outside looking in versus the inside looking out. So in somebody's mind, they thought you had it easy. They assumed you didn't have challenges, you didn't perform manual labor. That was another thing. Some people say, "Oh, you lazy, you don't work hard." Late night, all you do is talk all day. You're right. But it takes a lot of willpower and brain power. It takes a lot. Mm-hmm. To motivate people when you don't even feel motivated sometimes. Mm-hmm. Again, they judge you based on their limited information, what they perceive to be hard work, not knowing that while you're supporting someone else's mental health, someone is attacking your mental health. Someone is attacking your emotional well-being. That's the thing. They don't see it. Mm-hmm. They mind a business that pays you. That's why they say that. Stay focused on what you're supposed to be doing. And another thing that happens because they're so focused on you, they miss their opportunities. God showed me that. They were so busy attacking you, trying to destroy you, that they could have been building themselves up. They could have been going to school, degree themselves. If they thought it was easy, they said, "Oh, anybody can do that." Then do it. Do it. I will cheer you on and applaud you. I certainly will. Because you went to college and used your brain to perform other tasks that were just as strenuous and difficult, if not more. That's the thing. So when you keep your eyes on your own paper, those who have watched this station before, God told me keep my eyes on my own paper. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about what other folk got going on. You focus. But when you spend your time attacking someone, worrying about what they got going on, trying to destroy and trying to tear them down, you miss your opportunities. Because this life is short. You don't have time to be focused on everybody else's business and what they got going on. You could be securing the bag too. Just a bit of encouragement. So they wanted to switch places so bad, not knowing your struggle. The struggles you never talk about because you were equipped by God to handle it. And that's important also, because if you are not upfront and direct, complaining and all these things, people assume that you don't have struggles or temptations or things of that nature. And it's not that. It's just that you just figure it out. So you don't complain. You figure out how to navigate these situations and circumstances, and you just do it. They can't see what you perceive. This is also important. When you think about it, prophets are given guidance from the Lord. Not everyone has that capacity and direct link to God. Look at it in the Bible. That's why God chose Moses, okay? So that he could come and share with the people. There's levels to this. Somebody has to know that. So the things that God has given you, they want to attain it without the stamina necessary to maintain it. We talked about that too. Because it's one thing to get something, it's another to keep it. They can't see what you perceive. You see enemy attacks forming before they land. You're a soldier while they're a civilian. And we're talking about mentally. God was telling me that sometimes we look at people based on their status in society. So there's a social hierarchy, right? So we look at them like, oh, that's such and such. I know their mother, they're famous, they're popular, they're celebrity. So that's a social hierarchy. But God has a spiritual hierarchy. Did y'all know that? It's a spiritual order. I just used the example of Moses. Did he call Priscilla and no, he called Moses. Okay, that's the thing. And he will communicate with you when it's time for you to be communicated with. That's the thing. But you have to seek it for yourself. And you're going to receive a different commandment. That's the thing. So again, walking your own path according to the path that God is leading you on is important. Your journey. I'm going to talk more about that. But again, you're a soldier, they're a civilian, and how they approach situations, how they perceive situations. They are unprepared for true spiritual warfare, and yet they want to be you. Mm. Oh, God also told me again, someone gave up freedom for comfort. Yep. And again, what do we equate comfort to? That can equate to sin. So if you're giving up your freedom, which is peace, God given, for sin, for comfort, not knowing that they only want to control you. So if the shoe fits, let's get into it. So I wrote this little thing, this little piece here. Now, it's out of order, but I'm going to share. I'm going to share it. I gotta find it. But again, it's just and it's fresh. So yeah, I'm gonna get into it though. I'm gonna share a little bit about it. It's called If the Shoe Fits. It's a poem by yours truly. And if I need to tighten it up, I will, in terms of like if I made any mistakes or errors. But it definitely was driven by God's spirit concerning this message. And the introduction, this is just the introduction. They tried to take your life. They wanted to replace you as an old version of yourself that no longer exists. The shoes no longer fit. I used to be a size 10. Now the only shoe my feet fits in is a sturdy size 11. You can't replace me from the past. This is not Back to the Future. Even if you try to rewrite history, I've already lived it. And I'm not going back. You can have it. But don't say I didn't warn you. That size 10 come with a lot of turbulence. It's probably not exactly what you thought it would be. But hey, if the shoe fits, I no longer occupy that space. Been left there. So I promise you have no opponent in me. Personally, I would be worried of an abandoned spot that someone outgrew. The original owner moved on because she got some new shoes. That place she was in was dark, but it didn't bother her much because she was the light. I don't know if you'll be able to handle it the same way. Get some knee pads and a helmet. Those shoes look so pretty in the store window. They were calling your name. Pick me! Pick me! We'll have a jolly old time. Promises of comfort and security, support and agility. I can't say that's all untrue, but beware that it might not turn out to be what you first thought. The previous owner was able to get from point A to point B in those shoes. The journey was long and hard. It was the shoe that led her, it was the grace of God. But her growth was stagnated by unreasonable expectations. Remember, nothing in life is free. You'll have to give up something. Might be your goals, could be prosperity. Day in and day out, the same routine. In exchange, you get a paycheck, but you won't get to chase your dreams. It sounds nice, looks good on paper, but you'll always be in lack, never really having enough paper. They'll draw you in with benefits. Now you're locked in. But hey, if the shoe fits, the original owner moved on. She couldn't remain there. She had other things to do, bigger opportunities to pursue. She had an epiphany that changed her entire worldview. Time ain't gonna ever stop for you. And some of those things that glitter only want to control you. But hey, if the shoe fits, bookmark that part. Don't forget I said that. Those shoes you like to walk in so badly will make you want to give them back after a while, but only after a while. Too late. They're yours now. I know it can be uncomfortable at first. They take a little time to get used to. No worries. You just have to break them in a little. Stretch your toes out a little. They eventually conform to your feet. If you really want to be like me, you can never accept defeat. I don't care how they make your feet feel. Lace up your boots, slide on your heels. It's going to be a long journey. You're in for the long haul. Those shoes don't fit me anymore. They're extremely too small. Every shoe has a purpose. Every shoe has a season. No one gets rid of those shoes without a real reason. You want them, you can have them. But only if the shoe fits. Poem. Okay, so again, God gave me that quick little thing, and I might edit it. But it just speaks to the fact that someone wants to live your life. They want your shoes. They want to walk in your shoes. Now I realize that it may not be what they expect it to be. It may not turn out how they thought, because they're going to have a lot of trials, errors, mistakes, challenges, barriers, obstacles. It's going to be a lot. And as I stated previously, they're not necessarily equipped the way you have been equipped. They're not going to respond to the pressure the way you have without giving it over to God. So this is my prayer for someone, because God told me that this is a right now word, because someone sought after your life. And again, they're going to reap what they sow. Okay. They say they could do it better. You wasn't all that. They're going to get the opportunity in real time. So also, I want to say this. Don't think you know everything about how to be me or how to be someone else. You might think you know a better way, but experience will teach you that thinking, knowing, and doing are three different things. Okay? My mother used to say, I got mine, you got yours to get. She say that all the time. Okay? So remember, before you challenge someone who's already been where you're headed, someone who's already done what you're trying to do, it ain't easy. Okay? That's it. But we're going to continue the message. That's it for the poem. Don't get comfortable. But yeah, I got my yours to get. So if you watch part one, you know that God told me that there were people who were criticizing your path, your journey, and yet some kind of way you made it through. You came out successful. You came out okay. Yeah. Just like the three Hebrew boys. They went through the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they came right out. That's the thing. But again, who did they trust in? Who did they put their faith in? The Lord. The people who attempt to rob you of your life, your path, your journey, they don't have God's protection. Remember, I also mentioned the umbrella of protection, the covering, the mantle, which also means a cloak or covering. That's what Elijah had. So even when they were attacking him, he had his cloak in place. He had his mantle in place. Somebody gonna catch it. But the people who, again, they want to steal from you, rob of your destiny. They don't have a cloak. They don't have a mantle. Like my mother used to say, you don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. Somebody, you don't have the same protective factors. I hope that's making sense. You don't have the same protection. So again, they tried to take over your life. They wanted to replace you as an old version of you. Okay. Now I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, and why it's important to walk on your own path in your own life. Okay. I know sometimes words can be harsh because you don't really want to hear. You be like, I kind of knew that, but I ain't really let nobody tell me that. Especially when you get in the thick of things and you start to realize that, hey, this is a little bit too challenging or too hard. So give me something else to share here. I don't know where I'm going to start, but I won't get there. But it's concerning the fact of self-actualization. What is that? So we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So before you actually reach the pinnacle place of self-actualization, which is where you feel fulfilled. It's basically personal fulfillment. Now, um, did you know you can be successful in the traditional sense and still be unfulfilled? This is for someone, okay? Because I think that oftentimes we, as a community, as a society, we think of success as achieving a certain career, getting a degree, getting a house car, the white picket fence with the family. That's what we look at it as. However, God has shown me that you can reach success in different areas in different ways. It doesn't always look the same for every individual. This is why you should pursue those things that match your interests, your desires, match your personality. Uh-huh. And God will show you what those things are. He will reveal those things. But when you try to swap out somebody's life with your own, that's demonic. That's wicked. You have to take your own path towards your destiny. That's the thing. And the journey is going to be different for every single person. That's the thing. Somebody has to know that. Everyone has their own purpose. You can achieve goals, but if they do not align with your purpose or your mission, you will be still left feeling unfulfilled. Somebody has to know that right now. So when Maslow's hierarchy of needs outlines that first you have to take care of your physiological needs, such as food, clothing, shelter, the basics. Then you get to a point where you feel safe, you have resources, then belonging. That's where you gain relationships, all these things you might pursue. Again, keep in mind, though that area may look different for everybody. Then esteem, achievement. You start having or pursuing goals and start receiving rewards and acknowledgement for the things that you actually participate in. Even if you're not receiving them publicly, you start feeling like, hey, I did achieve that goal. I did do something that I set out to do. It can be something very small. When we talk about these things in counseling, we talk about establishing short-term as well as long-term goals. Some people want to rush up and go to the long-term goal. I know teenagers, oh my goodness, we got to reel them back in. Young people, you got to reel them back in because they're like, I want that world starting off. But again, what we talk about, the mentality is not there. The ability to manage what they're requesting is not there. That's why they have to be trained in a way so that they can kind of achieve these goals step by step, one day at a time. That's the thing. And I know that's how Satan will trick you into believing that you have to get everything right away. And it's not about achieving it right away. It's about ensuring that you're aligning the steps that you're taking to your overall long-term goal. I hope that makes sense for some. Okay. So if I want to buy a house, I might build my credit, get a credit card, pay it off for some time, make sure I'm staying up with the payments, all these things. I might start saving money. And so this is why God told me about that pleasure principle, that immediate gratification. Sometimes we have to put it to the background, push it to the background. It's a trick of Satan to think you have to get everything right now. Okay. So I want to say this. There are people who excel at retail and fast food. Yes, there are. I've heard multiple stories of people climbing the ranks, but then there are others who are not so successful at it. So I will say that that's the thing. You have to ensure that your goals are aligned with your true purpose. And also quit judging people because they don't live up to the goals that you have for yourself. But we're going to get into that. There's a alert or a message on here. This is why I took a pause right there. But again, there are people who excel in corporate America or Wall Street. They love their jobs, but then there are others who quit to pursue other careers which align better with their passions. I've heard that story in testimony several times. I heard that in several different fields and industries where people even went back to school and said, hey, this ain't for me, or I need to choose a different path. It's okay. But we know that these stories show that walking in your purpose is the ultimate fulfillment or self actualization that I would say psychologists and other people such as Abraham Maslow have already spoken about. Yeah. So the pursuit of happiness, that's what essentially it is. Uh-huh. And honestly, if you align yourself with God, He will show you the path that you're supposed to be on and kind of lead and guide you there. Uh-huh. We all have different strengths. We're not all going to college and work in a corporate office. Okay. First of all, that's unreasonable and it doesn't make sense because we need other people in other areas in society. Huh? Yeah. So whatever your strength is, use it to your advantage and do it with all your heart. Don't be afraid or ashamed to celebrate whatever it is you do. If you are a mother, celebrate motherhood. I celebrated motherhood for a long time. Commit to it and do it with all of your heart. So it's not even what you do, it's how you do it. Again, this goes back to Elijah and Alicia. Alicia's training was to develop the same character traits, hmm the same stamina that Elijah had. So he had to learn how to do it with all his heart, invest in it, be consistent. That was the purpose. So whatever it is you do it. If you are a craftsman, do it. Don't allow others to dictate your happiness. If you want to be happy, you can be. Don't allow the accomplishments of others to diminish your value or self worth. This is really important because the title of this is graduation, if the shoe fits. So, graduation, again, a time of celebration and joy, can also bring on other feelings for people who may have not completed or may found that school wasn't for them and they are being judged by others because the person say, hey, why didn't you stay in school? Why didn't you do this? And then there are others in school. What Kanye say? The major that she picked don't make no money, but she majored in it anyway because her parents might look at her funny, something along those lines. So people are pursuing goals that other people have for them, but not necessarily what they have for themselves. And I don't want to get into that because I don't want to start family relationships, but I just want to encourage persons because sometimes people are lazy and they need an extra push into certain fields. But then there are situations where they're just lackluster and they're not ever going to enjoy that particular field. So again, there are nuances. So this is just general speech, but pursuing the things that are going to be purposeful long term is important, that align with the will of God for your life. That's it. Don't allow anyone to discredit who you are based on your circumstances or appearance. And that's important also because, again, if you don't complete your degree or you shift majors or you decide to go to trade school, people are going to say stuff. I also share, there's people graduating from pre-K. There's people graduating with their bachelor's that's 27 years old. And it's all good. Okay, that's the thing. Your journey is your journey. This is for someone. This is for somebody. Because some people feel inadequate or, some type of way when things didn't pan out how they planned and they have to go back. Do it. You only got one life to live. And again, you have to remember God saw fit to bring you here. Therefore, you have a purpose if you choose to walk in it. So my story, y'all know, sorry, I was a young mother. So when I was a teenage mother, I kept my head held high while I pushed the baby in the carriage. I didn't allow my circumstance to diminish my character. I was a thoughtful, helpful, caring person, no matter the condition and state I found myself in. And again, this message is for somebody. That's what God told me when I was writing. He said, this is for somebody. Somebody needs to hear this right now. Keep your head held high, whatever it is. Pursuit of happiness. And I also found that sometimes if other people are celebrating, it makes you feel low about yourself. Get out of it. figure out a way to celebrate yourself. When I say post your accomplishments, your achievements, it doesn't have to be graduation from a school. How'd you know that? It could be I completed a course that nobody even know about. And by the way, Blessed Messages has a course. Well, I should say it's under the it's Blessed Messages has a course for anyone and everyone surrounding mental health topics, and I've shared the websites. You can complete that course. That could be your accomplishment, your achievement for this season. And they're independent courses. They don't take time for the most part, but I would say they are what you make them if you invest time into them. And when I say that, there's different sections you have to actually read and watch the videos and complete the quizzes and all those things to get some substance out of it. But you can complete that, get your certificate, and hey, I accomplished this goal for myself. But this, again, it's encouragement because people feel discouraged. And I also know that when you make mistakes, sometimes you feel like you can't recover from them. And that's not true. That's not true. Because again, when I was a teenage mom, I cut my head held high. So when you see me now, and now I'm not have a whole entourage of kids like I used to back in the day, because I would babysit and have parties and all these things. But it's the same way. So you have to kind of make your happiness work for you. And that's it. You make your happiness work for you. But I know I make it sound simple, but there are these. Again, start with the Blessed Messages, the courses that are offered. Again, I'll share that information. Read a book. You know, I was watching something. He was like, he read 90-something books in a year. I like books, but I don't even read that often, to be honest. If it's not the Bible, I read the Bible like every day. But outside of that, I'm like, that's an accomplishment. But you have to do what works for you. If you have a goal, pursue it. I don't care if it takes 98,000 years. One step at a time, one day at a time. And I want to say this. People are going to mock you. They're going to joke you. You don't know who's being used to challenge you in the season. You don't know what God is doing to touch your responses. Yeah, to improve your self-esteem. That's it. Because it's not easy for the folk who make it look easy. You have to know that. So, you know, I was a graduate and I had 2 babies when I graduated college. Yes, I did. And I made it look easy. Sure did. I ain't miss a step. To this day. No, I don't miss a step. But again, it's the mindset that makes the difference. I'm going to do this no matter what. I won't quit. I won't give up. Oh, get into this positive affirmation. You know, Lady and I love positive affirmations. And this is for someone. I want you to say it. I'm never giving up. I don't care what they say about me. I don't care how they feel. I don't care how many kids I have out of wedlock. I don't care who doesn't support me. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care who talks about me. My legacy is dependent on me. I am not a failure. I can do this. Reach down inside and grab every possible affirmation you have. The witchcraft won't work on me. The hurdles won't stop me. I can jump. The bullies can't control how I feel about myself. I can pray. I don't care what they label me as. I don't care what label they try to give me. I'm victorious in Jesus' name. We gonna make it. 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 All right, good people. I think I said enough for today. But you know, there's always 2 sides to things, so we have to take the good with the bad. That's what my mom used to say. The better with the sweet. Okay, that's the thing. So I would just motivate you to stay the course, read your scripture, try to build a relationship with God. All right. So I'm going to try to share the links as soon as possible. But in the meantime, you know what we're going to do? We're going to sit pretty, walk heavy, All right, take care.